Okay, looks like everybody's joined that's going to join. We want to thank everybody for joining us today for this webinar over retail. AxxonSoft and Intel is going to do this jointly, myself, Lee Duncan, and Kristen Call. So Kristen Call is going to start it out with some information about Intel. So with that being said, Kristen, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you and let you get things kicked off for us.
Great. I just wanted to say hi to everybody and welcome, and I'm excited to walk through some of the things that Intel is seeing. So I'm going to share my screen, and Lee, if you can let me know when you're seeing that. Oh, the presentation mode. That look good?
Looks good.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. I'm happy to have you join us today. I'm Kristen Call. I am the America's Industry Specialist in our Internet of Things group, and I focus primarily on retail, banking, and hospitality verticals. So I want to just take a little stroll down memory lane of the different evolutions of retail. So as we remember what the 19th century brought in retail, it was really more of that personalization and ability to have that one-on-one conversation with the customer. And as we moved into the 20th century, retail tried to speed up the sales, tried to be more rapid, and lost that personal connection with the consumers. And as a result, the retailers were not really meeting the consumer expectations. And consumers feeling lost in the physical retail chose to embrace e-commerce platforms and preferred that to shopping and buying. And as we moved into the 21st century, retailers realized this and started to build that omni-channel and more of that hyper-personalized, hyper-frictionless, and more consumer-directed interactions. And that's really been what this latter half has been about, is moving into that omni-channel and doing that digital transformation. Now, of course, 2020 really took us for a loop and has changed dramatically the landscape of technology. As we entered into 2021, we started seeing the prioritization of retailers not necessarily change, but some of them became more of a priority. One of that is the personalization of the consumer, more contactless payments, or supporting the contactless payments in the different platforms, upgrading the loyalty programs. And I think empowering the store associate became more relevant than ever after 2021. And I think that theme is going to stay. And then the other one is the digital journey for the store fulfillment and being able to make sure that the consumer is getting the purchases that they're desiring. And I want to kind of walk through the differences between the journeys of online and the in-store and identify some of the gaps. And I'm sure that this shouldn't come to a shock to many of you, but as you look at how the online journey starts, a lot of it, when consumers are looking for a product, they're perusing around the internet, they're looking for a product specifically, and through targeted displays and advertisements, the retailer can target the consumer to draw them into their website. So that's called the pre-visit awareness. Now, and then once they land into the website, now they've got the more ability to understand who the customer is. They can watch what they're clicking on, how long they're on a page, where and when did they put it into their basket. So that tracking that browser behavior is a huge advantage to online merchants. And then once it's in the cart, then you can start capturing even more data about the customer. It's easy to get customers to give information because you need to capture that for credit card information, for shipping information, and things like that. So that interaction becomes much easier because now you have the customer data. So the post visits of sending emails and continuing on that journey is a little different. So contrast that with the omni-channel journey into the store. It's a much more bigger challenge. When a customer comes in, the retailer doesn't know, have they already been looking at a product? Are they there to see if it's in the store? What is their intention of that today? Is it driven by something that they sent them in to do, or is the customer just browsing? And the other one is once they're in, there's no tracking of where the customer went oftentimes. So, did they stand in front of a product for a long time? Did they look at this product? Did they read the ingredients? What exactly was the interaction with that product to the customer? And then if the customer walks out, there's no data to say, why did they leave? Did they not find what they were looking for? Or are they going to come back? Now, if they do make a purchase, that's an opportunity to gather more information. But oftentimes this can slow down lines, and it creates somewhat of a friction to be able to check out. And as we look at some of the topics around frictionless, that's one of the big hype words the last couple of years. And frictionless can mean many different things. It can be a self-checkout. It can be a way to buy on your phone and pick it up. There's a lot of different ways that friction can come to fruition. And some of the data points around there is, 75% of consumers are likely to use some type of a self-checkout that's, preferred. It's easier, it's faster. They don't have to wait in line as much because there can be more checkout devices than cashiers. The other one is, if you look over to who is deploying what. Some of the top technologies that are being deployed by, I'm going to say, top retailers. And when I think of top retailers, I think of the Walmarts, Targets, those retailers. They're deploying those touchless solutions. They're deploying the self-checkouts and faster ways for consumers to check out. But there's some things that happen when you add frictionless shopping into the experience. And one of those is loss prevention. It's more of an opportunity for consumers to make mistakes. Did they scan the right product? Did they enter in the right code for the right product? All kinds of mistakes. We'll call them mistakes for the benefit of the doubt. And how can we help consumers or help retailers make sure that they're not having shrinkage? And that can happen in many different places. That can happen in the aisle. That can happen also at checkout. So NRF, if you haven't looked at this survey, NRF does one every single year around the security survey. This is great data points to understanding where and how and who is creating these, where the shoplifting is happening or what kind of theft is happening. So you can see 30% is around employee. I am so sorry, guys. My dog is one of the great things about live events. You never know what's going to happen.
Happens to the best of us.
All the fun things you get to do when you're live. So we were so serious there for a minute. Now we just get to have a laugh. So one of the other data points is really where it's happening, online, in the store, who's doing it with the organized crime and internal theft. So very interesting data points. I'm happy to send out these links so that you guys can take a look at this later. I thought this was really interesting. Where is the retailer spending their money? So the top 5 loss prevention systems in use today is the top one is burglar alarms, which makes sense. The other one is the digital video recorders, the CCTVs, armored cars, and POS data mining. I thought that was a very interesting number. So 72%, I think, value that POS data mining is crucial to being able to understand where the loss prevention is happening. And some of the areas that I like to dive into is the use cases. Now, I often get this, why is Intel worried about use cases? Well, we do sell silicon, yes, and we like to partner with folks like AxxonSoft because they produce the actual solutions. And so without use cases, there's not much reason for compute. And so I spend a lot of my time looking at what are the relevant use cases for retailers and what might be the next best thing for retailers to look at. So one of the topics is people. And people cover a lot of different aspects. Safety is one of them, and we've seen a lot of technology solutions around to detect masks, to understand if there's, bad actors in spaces, or also increase visibility for the associate to be, understand where the inventory is and have more accuracy. The other one is product. How do we bring that digital transformation into the stores? Well, we're seeing more of understanding, alerting customers, hey, your favorite product is ready and available in the store, or building recommendation engines right at the kiosk. So if I'm ordering, a hamburger, I'm going to pop up, you might like a Coke with this, or something in that nature. The other one is being able to track inventory in warehouses, track inventory from farm to table, a lot of different technologies to create a better experience around product. And then situations, what is the customer doing? How long did they stand in front of that product? This is aligning with the online experience with the in-store. Then crowds can be even outside, crowds can be in the store. There can be, watching what's the lines look like at my store? Should I have an SLA? If there's 2 or more people standing in line, do I alert a cashier or open another lane? Some of those, if you don't have self-checkouts, those are options, or you can alert a customer if you do have such self-checkouts that there is a terminal open for them to use. And accuracy can use in many different ways. And watching associates make an order. If a customer ordered a burger without pickles and the associate's putting the pickles on top, there could be an alert to say, hey, this doesn't align with that POS data. So another way to mine the data. And then prevention. And prevention can happen anywhere. It can happen at the checkout, it can happen in the aisle, and it can happen in returns. And we see a lot of this with camera technology, and camera can be used in any of these types of use cases to provide the visibility to prevent some behaviors, help mine that POS data, and then also allow the associate to react quickly if there's something that needs to happen. And with that, I'm going to turn it on to AxxonSoft. They have the solutions that for these use cases that I'm talking about, and I'm excited to hear more about what they're offering. And I'm going to turn it over to Lee.
Hey, Kristen, thank you. That was great. Great information, great data that you shared with us to better understand the market and what we're moving into. So definitely appreciated. With that being said, I'll get my screen shared for us and we will jump into the VMS. So let me get over here. Let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Awesome. All right. Well, once again, thanks, Kristen and Intel, for joining us on this. Thanks for everybody that joined via Zoom to learn more about our offerings and what we have here today. So my name is Lee Duncan, Sales Director for AxxonSoft. I'll be going over the VMS analytics and AI features of our software and the way that it works and pertains to retail in particular. So with that being said, we got colleagues on this call, so feel free to shoot questions to them as I'm going over this. So if you have questions, just put it there in the chat, and those guys will be more than glad to assist you and help you understand or answer any questions that you might have. So with that being said, talk a little bit about AxxonSoft itself. So we have over 600 employees. We have over 50 global offices, and we're supporting over 13,000 customers worldwide. That equates to about 480,000 projects. So been around for a while. We've been in the industry for over 25 years, and we have 30 patents to our name. And, moving into that, going into the retail, there's a lot of aspects when you're dealing with a retail scenario. So, retail, just like you said, could be, the Walmarts or gas stations or whatever the case is. So, here's a little recap of what we're going to kind of cover with our retail suite and features, for store areas. So from the parking to adjacent territories to sales floor, to the point of sale software, and, even in the warehouse and everything else. And then the ability to, collecting visitor statistics, and as Krista mentioned, face mask detection at the entrance, and then some of our behavior analytics. So understanding the actual, posture control and everything else of that within the retail frame. So with that being said, we're also going to discuss the POS integration, as we mentioned, and plus the heat mapping, and then some of the video wall management and comprehensive reports that you can pull from our software to help run more efficiently. So not only is this a surveillance system, you can look at this as a business analytic to give the information to the retailers to help them, adjust accordingly on the fly. So, as we start out here, we're going to start out with one of the most important things, which is the GUI. So the GUI is obviously super important. It's the way you interact with the system, and the ease of use is equally important. So I like to say that you can put people in front of our GUI and they can figure it out on their own within mere minutes. Everything's laid out, everything is self-explanatory, and it's very dynamic. You can do multiple things straight from the GUI, such as export a video. So you don't have to log out of this GUI and log into something else to get to video or lose situational awareness to export a video. You can do it straight from the GUI on the fly. So that way, if you needed to get a clip to somebody really quick for situational awareness, you could do that very quickly and very easy. As well, as I mentioned, it's dynamic. You can change the layout size. You could make a camera bigger, smaller. You could pull in CPU data. If you wanted to pull in your alert windows, so you know what alerts are happening and coming up, so you can address those as they happen. You could pull that up as well. There's other things you could pull in as well, as we kind of talked about video wall. Let's say you have video wall management and you're wanting to pull in the weather, or you're wanting to pull in the local news station, or you want to pull up a map of all your locations throughout the city, country, world, whatever. You can do that very easy on the fly by just adding that to the GUI as a layout. And one of the great things is once you log out and log back in, it goes back to the way it was. So you don't have to worry about that. Another, something that can be cumbersome for retail locations, especially when they have multiple locations, is with retail chains, big or small, whatever the case is, they're distributed across the city, a state, or whatever. Having a federated system where you can log in at one location and view all your locations on the same pane of glass to get situational awareness is really key. So, utilizing video wall management, you could actually have all the different cameras from different stores pulled up on the same screen, and that video wall management is included within the software itself. And moving from that, so with the GUI and the easy use of the GUI, giving you another way to manage your system via the cloud. So we offer a free cloud service. So it's secure HTTPS protocols, and this little video here kind of shows you how to connect. You registered, log into the cloud via the web interface, you get your token, and it applies to the on-prem VMS. So after connecting the site to the cloud, you see the domain, enter the domain, and view the videos from the site. To get access with mobile client, like Android app or whatever the case may be, just use the cloud credentials that you did with the web interface. Very simple to use. And then after you successfully log in, you'll see all your cameras. And then you'll get all the examples of the dashboards, all the configured reports, visitor count at the different stores, which are available, via the web interface. So very powerful tool to utilize the cloud service here, and getting your general statistics and everything else that you need. And something key here is there's no added hardware or network equipment that's needed. This is all straight up, no port forwarding, no fancy network settings, anything else. This is very simple to set up. And speaking of the web, moving into the web client, when you're logging into the web client, it gives you another feature that's ease of use. There again, very similar to the thick client. You get all your controls and everything that you would have within your thick client. So your alarm panels, your heat maps, your PTZ controls, digital zoom, export, all the good features that you have just via the web client. Because, let's say you don't want, one of your district managers or whatever the case to have access to the thick client on their laptop as they travel or from home. They could simply log in via the web and get access to their cameras and look at their, dashboards and everything else to see, the reports and everything else if they're doing that offline at night or, on the fly as they travel. So super great client, like I said, very robust, just like the thick client, and gives you all the full features of that. And then another way to monitor, which a lot of people like to do these days, is via mobile app. So we had the thick client, then we offered the free cloud, and then the web client, and now the mobile client. So obviously Android, Apple, whether you want to do iPad, whatever you feel needed, but you can do everything that you can do from your main clients, which, view live and recorded video, look at your events, control PTZs, work the fisheye cameras, digital zoom. You can view your maps so you get all your locations, all that information just there at your fingertips. So very powerful, very easy to use, but it gives you multiple ways to use your system. So whatever you feel comfortable with, the way that you want to manage and view your system, we try to give you all those aspects of that. So as we move into the AI part of this, we're going to kind of start out, when we're dealing with retail spaces out in the parking lot, whether it's a, gas station, retail chain, whatever it is. So, this could be for LPR, could be used for multiple things, obviously license plate recognition. So let's say you had a very important customer, the customer, every time he's on prem, spends a lot of money. You want to be notified when he pulls in. You could have his information uploaded in the database. And when he pulls in, you can be notified so you can act accordingly once he shows up. Or if you had bad actors, in loss prevention, people had put in the plate number, so they wanted to know that this person was banned, then they could just have that be, notify them when that car pulled in, or they could do a license plate search. And this goes across all locations. So once this database is built, if you own 10 gas stations and you put this information in the database, it's not just for the area that you put it in. And, if you use that one store and you enter this information in the database, it's going to apply to all your locations. So if that person goes to a different store, then you're going to be notified there as well.
Hey, Lee.
Yes.
Hey, I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
There's a lot. This is amazing. So it seems like there's a lot of complexity around here. Can you answer two questions for me? One of them, what kind of cameras does AxxonSoft support? Looks like you have quite a few arrays here. And the other one is, how precise is your AI analytics?
Okay, great questions. Thank you for those. So we are hardware agnostic. We work with any cameras out there. Kind of be hard pressed to find one we didn't work with. And same thing for servers. We don't, we're hardware agnostic. So whatever servers and everything else they want to utilize, they can. So if you are working with a current, customer and they've got current cameras in place, they don't have to rip and replace their current investment to go with AxxonSoft. 9 chances out of 10, we're going to be able to work with their existing infrastructure and just utilize our VMS to manage it. And then as far as our AI and analytics, let's say pertaining to human detection, when detecting humans, we obviously reduce false positives, which we'll go into in a minute, but we're doing that at a 96% accuracy rate. So very accurate. It really helps you manage your system, and the alerts that you are getting from the AI and analytics, there's something there. So once again, thanks for those. I hope that answered those for you.
I did. Great. And I'll let you go. We have some questions from the audience, but I'll let you go for a few slides and we can address those.
Sure. Awesome. So as I was saying with the LPR, they pull in the parking lot, whatever the customer is, and then you have the ability from the outside of your building to, have a fixed camera, monitor them, and then, obviously PTZs where you can zoom in and control and get, more features and whatnot. So another aspect to that outside perimeter and parking lot of your area. So now that we move, from the parking lot to the entrance of the location, we have some pandemic response solutions. So obviously the pandemic's hit us hard, and it's been, changed the world for everybody, probably forever. But with that, we've written some AI analytics, such as face mask detection. So if somebody is not wearing a face mask and it's mandated, you could be alerted so you could, take the proper action for that. Occupancy monitoring. I know a lot of cities still have occupancy limits in place. So let's say you got a building that's 50 people, you count people in. Once it reaches 50, you say stop. And then once people leave, it counts them out. So you can say, okay, Now there's just 49 or 48 in there, one more person can come in. So it allows a very nice, easy way to manage that. And, simple as social distancing. If you have social distancing mandates, you want to know if people are within 6 feet of each other, very easy to do. Another aspect is facial recognition. If you're wanting to track your employees or, give access to certain areas within the retail place for employees, you can do that via facial recognition. So very easy to use with just uploading pictures and applying to a database. So another awesome feature we offer here at AxxonSoft. POS integration. So obviously one of the great things, and kind of as Kristen was talking about, that POS data mining, when you're dealing with trying to catch theft, and, I think most people realize that a lot of, more theft comes from internally in a retail store than externally, meaning that you get more employees stealing than you do actual people coming in and stealing. So loss prevention, they really love to have the information on the POS transactions. So with, just grabbing the information, the data from the POS system and overlaying that on the video surveillance camera, you can actually see in real time what somebody's ringing up, what, cash is being handed back and forth, different things, different aspects of there just laid out very nicely. But it's searchable, and that's the key. So a lot of times when cashiers are stealing or they're helping their, people steal, they'll do no sales. So you could have an alert when a cashier rings up a no sell, that it automatically alerts you so you can see what's going on. Or if they hit a threshold up, they ring up 5 no sales this month or whatever, and that's too much, you can investigate. Or something as simple as you want to search a product. So beer, you go in there, you type in beer, it pulls up the 6 screens there where the beer was sold. You could see if, they were carding, if they were following policies, whatever the case may be, but you got all those tools there at your fingertip to really mine that data and figure out what's going on the back end. So there again, the more information you have and the more information you can give to your retail owners, the better they can run and the more efficient that they can run with their system. And that's, utilizing their existing surveillance system as a business. AI is phenomenal and, added bonus for most retail locations. Queue management. Kristen kind of mentioned this a little bit. If you're in a scenario where the queue for the line to check out is too long, maybe you open up another lane, maybe you get more cashiers on the floor, but a simple way to manage your queue. So if you have that threshold of, no more than 6 people in an area, and the line needs to move no slower than, 2 minutes or, 1 foot a minute or whatever, you can have all those perimeters set up in there. So, what's happening with your store to keep customer satisfaction up. Another great tool that retailers really like to use is heat mapping. This gives them valuable data. So it actually can tell where people are spending most of their time within the location. So obviously location and real estate within a retail store is valuable. They actually sell that to other vendors for product placement and everything else. So the ability for them to see the flow so they know where to do the product placement and give them that information is just another added bonus. So there again, they can run more efficient, and running more efficient obviously means more ROI for them. Another key feature I think for any retail is visitor counting. So here we're actually using our system to count entrance statistics and exit statistics. So we can see when the spike is. So we say, okay, Monday through Friday around 2 p.m. every day, we get a spike, it really spikes up. So at that time, we need to make sure we have more associates on the floor to deal with that spike. Or towards the end of the day, this is when everybody starts kind of leaving and leaning out of the retail. That's when we can start our closing procedures. It just helps you run more efficient and gives them the valuable data that they need. And with that data, obviously having comprehensive reports from, your heat mapping, from age groups to gender to visitor counting to everything that you had for that day, you can have those comprehensive reports to help you navigate all that information. So a wonderful tool to have, and something there again added to the surveillance system to add ROI on the system. And as I was talking earlier about the ease of use of the system, another part that helps that ease of use is our interactive 3D mapping. So taking a 2D image and laying it out 3D, we can immerse the cameras on the map so you have situational awareness at all time. So retail stores and everything else may look the same. If you want to know exactly where it's at, you could actually have a blueprint of the store so you know what camera you're looking at, or you could have a layout of the town that you're at. So you have all your retail locations, mapped out on it. However you want to use this mapping feature, you can, but it allows you very easily to track somebody through a scenario. So if you had somebody that came in that you thought maybe was a bad actor and you wanted to see where they were going and what they were doing, this feature would make it very easy to track them through the retail location. So another phenomenal tool. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about our AI behavior analytics. This stuff's way cool. So, using the posture layout and the skeleton layout, we can detect the posture of everybody's body. So let's say somebody's kneeling in front of an ATM. That could be possible tampering. We get that alert. Somebody's down on the ground. It realizes that they're on the ground from that posture layout. And, it could be somebody fell or just odd behavior. Arms raised, maybe somebody's raising a gun or somebody's raising their arms in a defensive manner. Or detecting people in a certain area. There's only 3 people allowed in a certain area at a time, and the 4th person steps in, you maybe want to be notified on that and get an alert so you can act accordingly. And then just, simple things as easy as holding a handrail, just so you're making sure that everybody's staying, on policy and everything else, or that they're actually bending at the knees to pick up packages, to make sure that they're in compliance with what they're working to, help negate workplace injuries. So lots of powerful tools that you can utilize. I'm going to touch a little bit on fire smoke detection because obviously this can be obviously important for everybody. Everybody needs to combat fire, but within a retail location, some of these locations are really huge. And, even when you're dealing with retail, you can start talking about their warehouses and everything else. The ability to do fire and smoke detection is usually based off a duct detector, smoke detector. And it can take minutes. But if you've already got your surveillance system put up and you've got the AI fire smoke detection, you can actually detect flame, smoke, we can do, tell the difference between the smoke and dust and fog and everything else. But it just gives you that added protection for your system, and some of the retailers probably should check with their actual insurance companies because they might actually get a discount on their insurance by running that for being, more preemptive on fire smoke detection. So AI object detection, this is kind of what Kristen was talking about when she was asking about the accuracy. So here we're doing human detection, and this is what we're doing at a 96% accuracy rate. So we're just detecting the humans, and we're negating all the false positives. So trees blowing, trash blowing, animals moving around, vehicles in the background, whatever the case is, we're only getting notified when humans are in the area. So when you get that alert on your, client or your mobile app or whatever, you're going to be more prone to pay attention to it because there's somebody present. It's not just a bug flying around your lens and tripping it. Here's where we're doing some of our custom AI. So there we had where we was using our custom AI to count propane tanks for a company. Here we're doing railroad tie detection. Here we're actually counting train cars from a drone. This is a drone mounted camera. And here we're counting rail cars just with a fixed camera. But there again, business analytic. We actually had a customer come and wanted us the ability to count pigs. The erratic behavior of the pigs was a little cumbersome, but we did it at a very high rate. So it was a really phenomenal tool and helped them, with their business operations and everything else. So kind of as we was leaning into this, we were talking about being proactive. We got all these wonderful analytics and AI packages and everything else to be proactive, to help stop theft, to help stop, workplace injuries, to do all this, but it always comes down where you're going to have to search video. And if anybody's ever dealt with VMS, going back over hours of video can be very, very cumbersome. So what we have is what we call Moment Quest. This gives you the tool, very easy of use, drop down menus to choose from. So very simple to use. You can simply say, okay, I want to know, something occurred in this area around this time. I heard somebody was moving from north to south and they crossed this intersection. So you draw a line, you time slice it out, it gives you all the information over there. So you can see that there's somebody there walking across the crosswalk, and you can also see where there's vehicles that are crossing that. But you can say, okay, it wasn't a vehicle, so I just want to look at people. So you could unclick vehicle, and now you're just getting people crossing that line around that time. So very quickly to get that video, to get eyes on scene, and very quickly go through hours of video within mere seconds to get the information you need. But let's say somebody did say, okay, it was a vehicle, and I did see that vehicle in that area around that time, and it was a red vehicle. So you could simply drop down, grab our color wheel, get the color red, hit search, and it's going to search out in that area around that time for a red vehicle. So there you go. It populates it. It allows you to get that video exported very quickly and get it into the authorities' hands that need be. So you're not having to go through hours upon hours of video. So as we move forward here, obviously our great partnership with Intel and what we've accomplished with them is amazing. Currently, if you was to run a AI system and you was to exceed 10 to 20 channels, it's almost impossible to build a cost-effective AI video surveillance system without using a dedicated AI accelerators. I mean, it wouldn't even be worth the money. It'd be so expensive. So to optimize the workload and ensure that our AI analytics operate quickly, we've partnered with Intel, as you guys know, and we use their neuro accelerators and specialized tools in our products, such as OpenVINO Toolkit, which extends the AI analytic workload across all the available Intel hardware. So it's sharing that workload to really, decrease the amount that we need, for that. So, when you're dealing with, the VPU, for instance, or, utilizing the Mustang V100MX8 accelerator card, you can handle up to 7 human detections off of that one card. And you can have up to 4 of those cards within a server itself. So very powerful tools that Intel offers us and offers you guys to help more effectively run your system and keep the cost down as well. So phenomenal tool. Another part of that, utilizing a lot of the acceleration and everything else, a fisheye camera is very popular in retail because it gives eyes on scene. It gives a 360 view and it's always recording 360 degrees. But a lot of times that can be very CPU intensive. So with the ability to spread, the GPU usage and everything out, it allows us to run that with no burden on the CPU. And speaking of GPU, utilizing the Intel QuickSync video, the GPU helps offload the client and the server CPU. Obviously in our product with the QuickSync video technology, it helps us support and decode all the H.264, 265, so on and so forth. So with that being said, man, this improves the quality of the video so we can give full HD without burdening the CPU. So another phenomenal tool from Intel with the QuickSync video. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into a little bit about our partner services. So we have free version upgrades. So it's a one-time purchase for the software license per camera. And once you purchase that software license, there are no update fees. There's no yearly update fees, no monthly, no nothing. If you purchase today in 2026, you'll be running the most current version that we have out there for 2026 because you've already purchased that license, back in 2021 with the upgrades included. We offer training that's could be training for your technicians or in-store employees that are utilizing the system, pre-sales. So obviously we got a phenomenal team that can help, key up jobs and help you propose jobs and everything else. Project assessment kind of goes right there with pre-sales. Hardware selection, obviously when you're dealing with large systems, it can be very cumbersome, but we do have a hardware tool, a hardware selector kit on our website. So you could utilize that as well. And we have 24/7 tech support. As I stated in the beginning of the webinar here, we've got over 600, valuable employees that are, willing and able to help you. So, we're available 24/7, global company, and we're willing to help. So with that being said, I want to thank Intel and Kristen for her time today. I want to thank everybody's time out there that listened. And if you got any questions there, again, feel free to hit us up.
Awesome, Lee. There's a couple of questions in here if we want to take them on.
Sure.
So I know that we've been going on and answering the questions in the thread as they've been asked. I'm going to move over to a couple of these things. So going back to the workstation that you were showing, can the system help monitor shops and POS in various locations with one workstation?
Yes, I mean, you could, if they were using the cloud system, if you have one workstation and you have it deployed at multiple locations, you can manage all your systems from any one of those workstations. So let's say you got 10 stores, each store's got a workstation. If you're at store 1, you can log in and manage all your systems. If you're at store 7, you can log in and manage all your systems. So a federated system, and you can manage all the systems from any connected computer.
Awesome. The next question is, there was quite a few questions around reporting. And maybe you can add more color to just the reporting, but this one is specifically around the preset reports. Can you customize those? Can you receive those on a monthly basis automatically? Can you talk a little bit about reports?
Yes, I mean, obviously, with all the business analytics, there's lots of reports and information that you can, divulge from the system itself. And obviously, all that information is very useful. And putting it in a report at one place is obviously a great aspect to that tool. So it's fully customizable. You can set it up however you want, whatever you're looking for, whatever data, and you could have this report be automatic daily, weekly, monthly, however you want it set.
Fabulous. Arthur, any of the ones in here look like you want to? There's quite a few coming through, and you've answered quite a few. I don't know if he wants to go on mic. But there's just so much data that, and you guys have done a great job of pre-settings and be preemptive of the data that the retailers might use. And I assume you guys are always learning and understanding what your customers are needing so that you don't have to figure out what data you need. That's a huge advantage that I can see.
Yeah, absolutely. And the partnership that we have and, the ability with y'all's accelerators and everything else, and then our software, really gives a compelling story, to the integrators and the retail owners out there that these solutions are available and they're very cost effective. Over time, all the cost has gone down, especially on AI. So, via our partnership, we're able to offer some pretty phenomenal, tools out there for our customers.
That's great. Here's one that I don't think got answered from Julio Ohilio. So it's asked about the hybrid solution. So, you can do edge, you can do cloud, you can do this in combination with different kinds of connections over Wi-Fi or 5G. What are you seeing there, and how does your solution handle those?
We do have a VSaaS solution, so we can do a hybrid setup. So you can run some of it in the cloud and some of it on-prem, if that's the case. So that's not a problem whatsoever. And we also offer, with that VSaaS and cloud service, we also offer what we call build your own cloud. So if somebody wanted to host their own cloud and have our software on there, we offer that as well.
Perfect. I think the rest of them were already answered.
Awesome. Well,
great presentation.
Hey, same to you. It was very enlightening. So once again, I want to thank everybody. There again, my name is Lee Duncan. My information's on the website. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have it. I'm sure you got Kate, you have Christian. Kate's one of our marketing people, but
all the K's. Hey, you get Kate, I get my dog. Come on. Yeah, I mean,
hey, we're even now.
That's right.
Right,
yeah,
so
you can find me on LinkedIn if you guys want to reach out to me, but it's been an honor and a privilege to join our very good partner here. And thanks a lot.
All right, guys, we appreciate it.